We are live streaming. Dan Ringwald from Santa Barbara Real Estate Investors Association. And we should have Cliff Gager on here any moment. We have a 12/12. This is December. Of course, I've got my Christmas red shirt on here. 12/12/20. We are live on Facebook. We are on Zoom here, and we are going to have Cliff Gager, who is in Southern California doing some major real estate stuff. Now, I know that all this stuff, this pandemic has affected all of our businesses. And so maybe, we'll get a little bit of an idea of what's going on there with Cliff and how that's been affecting his business. I can certainly tell you for me, I started selling off about 20 properties in the Midwest about a year and a half ago, thinking that, we're pretty much up to the top of the market, as close as I need to be with some of these low-end properties I wanted to get rid of. So I started selling them off. And then when the pandemic came in and the government said, oh, we are telling people not to pay rent and they don't have to worry about paying the rent or going to court. We're going to, shut down the evictions in court. I pretty much stepped it up and said, okay, that sounds like eminent domain to me. I am going to do some serious selling here. So I actually stepped it up. And instead of just going out to my database of buyers and things like Craigslist and other things that I could use to sell, I said, I'm putting it in the hands of realtors. And even on properties where I had lease to own, where I could have sold it myself to my tenant, I said, hey, look, and I got some really good realtors out there, kind of check them out. If you can just work with my tenant and get them qualified to purchase over the next few months, I'll give you 6%. I don't care. I would end up getting more out of that property through a lease to own than I ever would just going direct. So that's what I did. Now it looks like I've got Cliff coming in here. I think we're, oh, there we go. Hello, Cliff. Yay. Cliff is here.
Wow. It's, can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can hear you great. Can you hear me
awesome.
okay?
Yeah. It's crazy. Everything I tried to do since we talked earlier today has been a mess.
Well, that's kind of how it goes. All of a sudden we get close to this and we start to panic and we go, oh boy, what are we going to do? So, the best thing is it's just life and nothing can go wrong. The last meeting I had, my speaker just told me at the last minute, hey, I can't make it. I went, oh, okay.
Oh.
So it's going to be me today.
Oh my
and
God.
So I ran with it.
I would rather show up for you unprepared, which is very rare, as you know me, than to just say I can't make it. That's just terrible. That's terrible.
Well,
I know. One time I was late showing up for you.
Hey, when you're going from Los Angeles to Santa Barbara, there is a stretch of road there where there's only a couple of lanes and there's a lot of traffic, and it can be 1,000 reasons why it's a slowdown.
Giant, yeah.
Yeah. So I just, really enjoyed having you up to our meetings here in Santa Barbara when we could do those. I miss them too. And I think everybody is missing the social aspect of just being there with people. And just yesterday, I was looking at a infrared picture of two couples talking and watching their breaths intermingling in each other's face through the infrared. And I went, oh, this really kind of puts it out there. I definitely want to, do the 6 feet social distancing.
Exactly.
This. So why don't you tell me this, Cliff, in all this pandemic stuff, what would you say the major shift has been for your business and how it's affected your business?
Well, I have multiple businesses. So the real estate business, I mean, we had a little slump there in the beginning of the lockdown to where nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew how things were going to take place. So I'm a very conservative, cautious kind of person. And I step back and just look and see. And then I try to find historical aspects in the future. So that sounds kind of weird, but I look at what's happening. I look at what's happened in the past, and then I try to correlate that to what's going to happen in the future. And I've been pretty good over the years doing that. But I've got 30 years experience, so it makes it a lot easier to look at markets, see, I mean, I've gone through 9/11. I've gone through, several real estate busts. And the thing that happens in these is you get patterns and they reoccur. So the only difference with COVID is like take all of the catastrophes that have happened to the economy and the markets and people in general over the last 30 years and throw it in 1 month. That's so there's a lot of aspects in it that are occurring right now that have occurred in the past, but they're compounding. They're people are just scared. I mean, I don't even know how else to put it. They don't know what the future is going to bring. What I'd like to tell everybody is that's every day. You never, in fact, I don't know if you can see it back there. It says, do it today. Tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Now,
And,
true.
and I've lived my life that way. You plan, you start to execute your plan. If things change, you adapt, and that's just the way to do it. But as far as real estate goes, you got to buy it right from the beginning, the very beginning. So if you buy it correctly, you should be safe under most circumstances. And so far, so good. Our tenants are paying their rents on our rental properties. The speaking business, like coming to your event, except for, the Zoom thing, is completely gone. I mean, people don't understand that. It's just not the real estate speakers like me. It's, tons of industries every weekend get together and have exhibitions for, a multitude of industries. And that's just evaporated. I mean, if you'd have told me last year that there would be no more stage speaking and traveling and staying in hotels, I'd have thought you were from, crazy. Get your tinfoil hat out, right?
Yeah, like
So,
maybe watching too many TV programs, the Holocaust and everything else that you can think about that could happen is what it feels like is happening now.
yeah, it's funny, Dan. I'm a Second Amendment advocate, and I like the sport of. I don't really do much hunting anymore. It's too laborious. It's easier to go to the grocery store, right? But I used to like it, and I like guns. But I was skimming through Facebook, as we all do, because there's nothing else to do on online anymore. And there was a picture of a guy with a whole bunch of guns, and it says, "Geez, not so strange. The guy at the end of the street with all the guns now, with all the lockdowns and the rioting and the craziness." But
And they've been lining up at the stores buying them like crazy.
yeah, that's one thing as I look at history that I wish I would have done, which was got into some sort of sales store, either online or brick and mortar, of, arms of some sort. But, there's that kind of,
So,
little cloud around it, so to speak, so it's a moral thing that I don't sell them, but I
yeah.
do like to buy them. I'm a collector, so.
Well, that's good. It's good. And it's nice to be, have the feeling of security and know that if you really need to, it's there and you can deal with it.
I call it my fire extinguisher. If I have a
There.
fire in the kitchen, I'm glad it's there.
How true. How
If I
true. How
never
true.
use it, I hope it works when, because with fire extinguishers, you got to recharge them all the time. So,
That's right. Now tell me,
excuse me.
what about your bus tours? Are you doing any? I don't imagine anybody's doing bus tours now.
No, you can't. I've been trying to figure out how to do them on a virtual aspect. And that made 2021 is going to be completely exciting. I think a very wise man told me that this has forced us into the future as far as technology. I think that guy's name was Dan.
Here I am, 20
Yeah,
years into
but
the future in 1 year.
so as far as, doing these types of events, you really are stationary unless you record them and then replay them. But like the Zoom meetings that we're having now, or the
Right.
Facebook lives, or those kind of things, you're kind of tied to a location. So you can't just jump on the bus with the camera and just keep going. The streaming doesn't work that well with the technology available today, but I believe probably 5G will change that to have the bandwidth to do the live back and forth. And then, my bus tours are small. I don't do a very big production. It's more geared on a smaller, intimate style group setting of maybe 10, 15 people. And that way there's, interaction between us so that I can actually help people and answer questions instead of pointing and saying, this is this, and then let's move on.
Right.
So
Right. But
I think,
I will say that some of the most successful people I've seen out there doing YouTube videos really aren't having that much interaction with people while they're doing it. And they're
yeah,
having the interaction after they've done the videos, they've gotten them up there and then said, hey, get back to me, ask me your questions, comment on what you see here. So we might find out that even a bus tour that you do where you're not really immediately interacting is still of great value for people.
yeah, and I mean, I've got recordings of multiple bus tours, but now they're a year old, so
Right.
they don't go out of style. They don't go out. The methodology is it'll always be that way. There's new things that change, like we're adapting to the COVID things. And the most important thing to know, I guess, for the investors out there, in fact, I'm going to be showing something along the lines of how to overcome that, because I'm moving into that live interactive setting. But for right now, it'll be kind of like what we're doing right now. But I do a monthly call. And I will have an offering at the end of our little presentation here, and it is completely interactive, because that's the only way real estate education for investors ever works. It has to be interactive. And in fact, we could talk about it at the end here, because I think you'll like it. We didn't set this up either. That's the funny thing is what I'm going to be offering is exactly kind of what you're saying. And the
Wow.
only difference is it's mostly going to be online.
Excellent.
It's mostly going to be it'll all be interactive. But when the technology is available for me, I do a lot of stuff in Cleveland. So for me to go to Cleveland, set up a live stream and do the live stream walking through a house doing a bus tour, I can do that. It's just going to be pre-recorded. I want to do it live. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah. And I think that people are going to accept all this virtual stuff even after this pandemic is over, way more than they did in the past. It's just going to be something that people are used to doing. And
Yeah,
oddly enough, it appears that you might be able to reach more people doing things online, both, interactive and non-interactive, than just getting, 30, 40 or 100 people in,
right.
some brick and mortar location, because you have that avenue in the internet to get in contact, and people are more accepting because they're all doing it.
Correct. Excuse me. So but the thing that I miss the most, and that is going to be hard for people as well, is the physical contact. Now,
Yeah.
being in a room with 30 people versus being online with 300 people, it's very clinical.
It
You know,
is. It is.
it's like you're in a surgical room, but you're not in the room. You're actually watching through a window, and you can't
Right.
hear everything because it's coming through on a speaker. So it's kind of like uh, uh, a new level of interaction that we're getting used to. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I miss
It's
the
probably
live interactions. And
probably a temporary substitute because there's nothing like the energy that flows between people when you're
yes.
right there with them.
Yes, yeah, and I've got a bunch of big name speakers in my friends list, so to speak, and as we talk about different things, one of my friends, he's a pretty big speaker. He's literally set up in his living room because he has an office, like I've got an office in my house, but he also set up, he's got like this monster house. He's a well-known speaker. If I said, I'm not going to drop his name, but you would know him immediately. And he's one of the good guys. And he literally set up in his room cardboard cutouts of people so that he built a hotel ballroom, so to speak, in his living room. And then he put people in chairs.
Oh my God, that is
So
very
he's
funny.
doing his presentations like normal. And I think it's hilarious. It's
That
really,
sounds like Steve Martin and the Lonely Guy with all his cardboard
yes.
cuttings.
But
Oh,
yeah, it's kind of coming to that. So,
yeah.
but I think I see a lot of people teaching real estate investing. And one of the reasons I got into real estate investing, I know a lot of these older speakers, and I don't mean they're seasoned. I shouldn't say older. They're well seasoned.
70.
Yeah, I know, 55.
Older.
Me too. But one of the things that I see is a lot of times, and I've taught a lot of people. I used to teach for the gurus and all that stuff, and I've probably taught uh, 3, 4, 5,000 people how to do real estate over the last 20 years, and that's just a guess. But what I see is sometimes these people will come to me and they'll say, hey, can you do like a private training with me? And in the past I would give them the price, and you're like,
Right.
it's time, my experience, time, value, all that stuff. And because I got to stop doing what I'm doing to do that. So it has to be worth it. But they would always come back to me and say, oh, I can't afford it. And then like 4 or 5 of these people are out there teaching real estate seminars now, and it's
Wow.
like, I'm like, wait a minute, you couldn't afford to pay my training costs, even the entry level training costs. You wanted that for free, and now you're out there teaching it. So I got into this business because of that. I got into the business because I like to help people and help them, in this case, do successful, profitable real estate deals. It's very simple when you put the right systems together, and
Yeah.
that's
And
what we do.
it's amazing how much we learn just teaching because
I
people
learn something every
tell us
day,
stuff.
every
Yeah.
day, every
Yeah.
day. I mean, I am a student of life, and you know, don't tell anybody, but don't you hate it when those guys get up on stage and they're like, I'm a student of life, and it's like, but oh my gosh, I really am. I'm sitting here, I'm learning new things every day. Um, the real estate industry has changed, and if you don't adapt and make the changes to these things, you're not going to be, you may be profitable, but you're not going to be as profitable, and you're going to make mistakes. And one of the things, like I said earlier, I studied the past to know what the future is going to be. Everything is cyclical. And, you're old enough to remember Greenspan.
Yeah.
A lot of people, you say Greenspan, and that's like saying Humphrey Bogart to a room full of millennials.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Who's
Never heard
that?
of him. So, with today's methodology, you have to look at the past, and that's where I see the older guys that are still in it, playing the game, are the ones that are the most successful, because we've been down this road before. We've seen these things happen before, and every event that I used to go to, I would sit there and I'd look out into the crowd and I'd say, just everybody knows everything today. The training business is just going to go out of style. And then I meet some people, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Ooh, I need to stay in this, right? I need to help people." So
Yeah, and I
that's the
think,
main reason I like doing it. The,
yeah,
the, the training part. I love, if I could do nothing else but just the training part, that's what I would choose to do.
it's so fun. It really is fun. And I'll tell you, my heart goes out. Bless all the people and Google for creating YouTube, because anytime you want to do anything, you just go out to YouTube and somebody was there to show you exactly how to do it. And it's like, I can be, a jack of all trade now because everything's out there for free and for charge too if you want to get deeper.
I built race cars as I grew up in my life. I was a drag racer, and before YouTube. So the only way that you could really learn how to tune a motor to do a 7-second run in a quarter mile at, pushing 200 miles an hour, is you had to know somebody that really knew what they
Mhm,
were doing,
mhm.
and they were the 70-year-olds. Don Hampton, I've met him a couple times. He builds the superchargers for like John Force and all the big names in drag racing. And if you look at him, he looks like an old Popeye, an old version of Popeye. And if you were to look at him, you would think, this guy really, how would he know anything? But man, he was really good at tuning vehicles. But that's the same thing with anything today with YouTube. And unfortunately, when you're out there doing live events like I was, and doing real estate and doing a couple of other businesses that I have, I never posted to YouTube. It was like, I'm not going to do that. So, that's where now I'm playing catch up. So all of my training, I'm trying to transfer into that YouTube world, but my stuff is geared more to education over a long period of time. So I don't have those 3-minute videos. It's like uh, everybody's either doing 3-minute videos, or there's a couple that I watched, a young couple. They had no idea what they were doing. It's totally off subject, but it's YouTube, and they totally knew nothing about what they were going to do. But they bought some land in Texas. They put a couple of containers on them and converted them into a
Oh,
house.
good.
And I'd have to look it up to find it. But I thought, how can you do that? Neither one of them had a job. Now they're full time on this project. And then I learned how much money they're making on YouTube. It was like $70,000 to $100,000 a month,
Yes, it's
and it
amazing.
was like all the tools were given to them by the companies because they were doing the project. And I was like, wow, that's the young people doing things today differently than how we would do things today.
And
uh
a great lesson for us, just again, if anybody wants to be successful, just go out there and find somebody who's doing it. Just get kind of the format of how they're doing it, copy it as best as you can. You may never be as good as them, but hey, if you're just in there someplace and you're able to help and you're able to sustain a living the style that you want,
yeah.
nothing else matters.
And the cool thing about that is we can meet people like you, we can meet people like me that actually enjoy helping those people obtain. I might not be great at YouTube, but if you're going to do a house project show on YouTube, I know everything about the house project part. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And how to make the acquisitions, how to do all that. And do you want to run my slideshow?
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
We're talking about the things that I want to talk about. Let's see. I won't be able to see you, but when I
you
do
And
this,
that's okay. Once you start doing this, you bring up your, shared slide screen.
there we
You'll do it. I'm going to kind of sit in the background and not say a whole lot. If I do, I'll jump in there. But you know, it all
Yeah.
works. It's all magic, and it works.
So we got the slide up now. You can see
Yep,
that?
slides up. I see it. It's great. 5
Excellent.
secrets to becoming a highly paid real estate investor.
I wanted to. There's a lot of meaning in that, and the reason that I chose, I hate the word secrets because secrets implies that you don't want to expose them because you want to keep them to yourself. Um, but it is a word that people understand right away. And the thing that are secrets are, like, I guess with businesses, they have trade secrets. So they don't want people to know what they are, like Burger King, or a great one, KFC, with the, what is it, 7 secret spices or whatever. 11 herbs and spices. That's what it was. See how marketing works. But I wanted people to understand that these are the things that made me successful. A lot of people don't know. I'm a high school dropout. I dropped out in ninth grade, took my GED, went into construction, ended up being an electrician, and then I ended up working on signs, hanging up signs on giant buildings, 50, 60 floors above the ground, hanging over the side. But I had an accident, got into the mortgage business because I couldn't do the physical stuff anymore. I have a 144 IQ, so I didn't go that path because I was dumb. I was actually bored in school and I wanted to get outside and do something. So as I grew in my business, in the mortgage business, I was very unorthodox. I didn't follow the rules, so to speak. I didn't break any of the rules, but I made up a lot of the rules on my way because things were logical the way that I was doing things, and they were illogical the way that the realtors and mortgage brokers and everybody was doing things back when I got started. I saw a better path. I did over $30 million in profits over a very, very short period of time. I think it was about 4 years, 3.5 years. So because I did things different, I didn't want to do things the same way. So those were the differences of the things that I was doing versus what everybody else was doing was like some sort of secret. And it really wasn't. It was just logic. And a lot of people will listen to the real estate company owners, which I used to be. I used to have a real estate office as well. There's a different mindset for those realtors. So if you want to be, excuse me, if you want to be an investor in the real estate world, you can't really listen to realtors. And if you want to be a realtor in the real estate investment world, you can't really listen to the investors. So you need to learn these secrets that I've learned over the years and to be profitable. And, I said earlier, I looked out and I thought, there's no more education. Everybody knows everything. There's so much information available. I liken that to a skeleton. If you go in a doctor's office, they have the skeleton hanging there and it's all put together and whatnot. And a lot of people, the way I explain real estate investing training or education is they give you that skeleton in a box, in pieces, not put together. And, you've got everything you need to put the skeleton together, or in our case, to do the real estate deals. You just don't have the transactional linear motion of what happens now, what happens next, what's going to happen next week. And that's where people like me come in. We've done them. We've done thousands and thousands of deals. We know what's going to happen. I had a real estate company and a mortgage company that enabled me to learn the processes of all the aspects of a real estate transaction. So, and plus the construction background. So it all played into one real nice package, so to speak. And then, as I'm looking out in that audience, I'm like, geez, with all these people out there doing real estate, is it profitable? There's so much competition out there. Let me tell you what, if you're a new real estate investor, it's a revolving door. There's a lot of people that get into it. And it has nothing to do with profitability. It just, some people think it's something that it's not. Like they see a TV show and they think they're just going to ride around in a Hummer and bark at people, or, go to the design centers and pick out tiles and stuff. It's really not just that. That's show business. That's show business. So I call it a revolving door because people go into the business all the time and people come out of the business all the time. Some stay. I've been a long-term player in the real estate business, but some people don't. Some people just go away. And that is the joy of this, which means there's, I would say, hundreds of thousands, if not millions and millions of properties out there, and millions of different situations. I used to tell people before COVID, I don't buy real estate, I buy situations. And there's a lot of situations now. And if you follow along with what I'm talking about in my training and how I do things, 2021 is going to be monstrous as far as profitability in the real estate market. There's going to be people that aren't going to do well. So that is something that is always a factor in everything in life. But if you, ATTOM Data Solutions, they track a lot of statistics. And if you look at the chart there, homes flipped in the first quarter of 2020 had a gross profit of 62,300. Now, if you know anything about statistics, it takes them a long time to update this data. Second quarter isn't out yet. If you look at the red lines on the chart, you're going to see where they're going down. But the home flipping rate, a percentage of total sales, is going up. So flipping, as far as single family homes and condos flipped, it's kind of confusing. Is it going down? Is it going up? Well, the sales of these properties versus the purchases of these properties, the profits are going up. In fact, they went up, I think it was a couple of $100 from last quarter, 2019, but a gross general profit of $62,300. If you're watching this and you can't use an extra $62,300, just give it to me or Dan. I'm sure Dan will give a link out there if you want to just send that money away. But to a lot of people, that's a year's salary. Now, I want to differentiate here a little bit. This is gross profits. They don't know what you spent on repairs. They don't know what you spent on marketing. I always like to look at that 62,000 as somewhere around $20,000 or $25,000 net profits. If you did, $10,000, $20,000 deals per year, you're making $200,000. So the exciting part is, are there deals out there to do? Because there's a lot of people out there saying, you can't do deals in California. I'm sorry, yes, you can. You have to do different deals in California, but they're here as well as anywhere in the United States. Just because the economy is doing great, that doesn't mean the individual is doing great. And likewise, in reverse, if the economy is not doing great, there are people. Look at Jeff Bezos. He doubled his net worth since this thing started. Something crazy like that. But yeah. And these guys all started in a garage. I should have started in a garage. I had an office. So I want to give you my 5 secrets. There's quick 5 secrets to success in this. And the first one here is creating a team. Having a team is probably the most important part. I think a realtor, private money lender, a retail mortgage broker, that's how I got into the business. A general contractor, property management is ultra important. And they do more than just manage your property. They take care of it. They do the maintenance. They're your eyes on the ground. They can be your rental acquisitions for either properties. They manage a lot of investors' properties, and some investors might be saying, I'm done, I'm getting out of this, and I'll buy those. So other investors, I don't have competition. I have friends, and some friends are closer than others, right? But I look at other investors. Now, there's a few out there that, I probably would never do business with. And I won't say why, but, just you have to understand, if you're going to work with other investors, there has to be profitability in the deal. And some people think that you can imaginarily create that after they make all the profit in the deal selling it to you. That doesn't work. So, but there are other investors that, real estate is cyclical, cash flow is cyclical, and it can be. I've had situations where I'd sell 5, 10, 15 houses in 1 month and then go 2 months without selling it. So you have to, the ebb and flow of real estate is something that can work together. So if I find something and I'm stocked with inventory, I might not be able to buy it. But I can call you, Dan, and say, hey, here's a deal. It's pretty good. I just did that with another well-known real estate educator. I just sold him a house because I don't have time to do it. And he's gung-ho on doing it right now. So yay. So it kind of balances out. It's kind of like a marriage. Sometimes the wife is doing really good and the husband's down. And then sometimes the husband's doing really good and the wife is down. But it brings balance. So if you try to bring balance instead of competition all the time, that's much better.
Teamwork.
An experienced mentor. I hate the term mentor, but I actually went on a thesaurus and tried to find a better word for it. But it really is a great word. It's just overused. An experienced mentor is I've got almost 30 years of experience in the real estate world, mortgage business, private lending, construction, rehab, all of that stuff. And that is one of the most important things. People go out and will get everything but that. And then they can't understand why they're not progressing, why they're not being successful as they thought they were. It's that mentor that gives them the advantage over everything else. And it's tough to find a good one. It really is. As far as teams, I like to show my teaching results to people. This is Leo. He's in California. He's doing between 100 to 200 houses a year now. In a market that I probably would have never looked at. I've driven through it a lot of times. And then I'm not going to say where it's at, but when you drive through it and you don't realize there's almost 750,000 people there. So he is flipping houses. He took my training. He came from the military. And immediately, he's very quiet guy, very military disciplined, well-disciplined and all. And very nice guy, and he sat there through I did a bus tour, and it was actually in Bakersfield, California. And he sat there and asked really intelligent questions. And then, I tell my story during my bus tour of how I got into the business and how I met the people that I met and how I I didn't manipulate them, but I manipulated the situation to benefit me so that everybody was doing their jobs, but the end result was they were all doing it for me, even though they didn't work for me. And that's building that team that does that. The realtor goes out there and finds me property. They don't work for me, but they're working for me, if that makes any sense. And everybody in the trades, they all have to be working with your best interests in mind, even if they don't know it. And I teach you how to do that. He listened, paid attention, and literally cloned me from how I started. He did the same thing. The only difference is it took me 3.5 years. It took him like 6 months to get to the same location that I was in 3.5 years.
That's
because
amazing.
He had the experience of the training and the education and all of the quote shortcuts, secrets, whatever you want to call them. They really do work, So yeah, he's doing in fact, I think, Dan, he is one of those younger guys. And I saw recently on his YouTube channel, he's starting to do like a home flipping show, like a flip this house on the television show. So it's pretty fun watching your students becoming successful. He's got a huge team, and I can sit back and say, yeah, I did that, but I didn't. I just guided him to help him to create that. And that's really the best thing about this industry that I love more than anything in the world. Rolling right along, because I know we got about 30 minutes.
Yeah, as much time as you want. We talked about the length of these videos, and some are going to be an hour, some are going to be 2, some are going to be 15 minutes, and people will take out of it what they will.
Good. All right. So I think our conversation in the beginning was important. Normally I just go right into my slideshow, but well, normally, Dan, I don't get to talk to somebody that knows what's going on.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You know what I mean? So
Uh-huh.
I didn't say that out loud, did I?
Uh,
When you get older, you start getting crusty. Now I understand that term.
yeah. Somehow we've earned it, right? If you've made it
Yes,
this
yes.
long, you've got something to say.
Yeah. So the second secret, so to speak, is how to find the profitable deals. A lot of people get caught up in this part right here. This part right here, there are 1,000 ways to find properties, and probably more. But there's several ways that are much more efficient, much more profitable. Time has a value. So if a lot of people will be like, I made $10 million driving through neighborhoods and knocking on people's houses with tall grass. No, you didn't. You might have done that 25 years ago, because I know I've done that, but it's not efficient. It is a way to do it, but it's not efficient. So I like to talk with real estate agents. A lot of them will not comply with what an investor quote needs because they're trained to pretty much ignore us. And that's from their management in their offices. And that's why you'll usually see in an office, maybe 1, 2, or 3 realtors out of like 300, I guess, what is that? 1 in 100 real estate agents are going to be open-minded enough to work with an investor. Because, when I buy houses at 50, 60, 70% of market value, every single time I do that, they say, the inexperienced agents will say, you can't do that. And, I wish I had just $1 for every time somebody told me that you can't do that, because I could probably retire over 30 years of hearing that. So trust me, you can, I do, and you can too if you do things the right way. And that's what we do in my training, like in my bus tours. I have an online training course that goes through all of this step by step. And it's all about getting these people to, if they're slightly interested in working with you, how to get them completely interested in working with you and working for you, even though they don't work in your company, they work for somebody else. Once they learn, I've had a lot of people tell me, oh my God, I can't believe they took this offer. It's been on the market X amount of time and they've had multiple offers over and above what yours was. Why did they take yours? Well, I go through a lot of psychological aspects in putting the offers together. And a lot of people don't understand that. Marketing people catch it. Like if there's somebody that's educated in marketing, especially like online instant type marketing people, to where they, they're going to send you a postcard. They got 3 seconds for you to look at it. They got to catch your attention in 3 seconds. The best place I've ever found marketing strategies is in the checkout line at the grocery store.
Candy. Mom.
No. National Enquirer, all those magazines.
Okay.
Put titles on there just to grab your attention, to sell you a magazine for $8, $9, $10. They're the best in the world. Those companies wouldn't exist without that person. Now that person's not going to teach you their secrets because they don't want their magazine to go down the tubes. I don't have that problem. Dan, you don't have that problem. We can teach our secrets because there's plenty of competition out there. There's plenty of real estate deals out there to do. I could teach 10,000 people and still not affect my business. And that's what I like about it. Networking with other investors, off-market sources, foreclosures, financial turmoil. These are all the aspects which lead to profitable deals. Again, earlier I said, if the economy is doing great, some guy could have just lost his job. for whatever reason. We don't know what the reason is. We don't know why they lost their job or why they got behind on their bills and their payments and stuff, but they need an escape route. And a lot of times they get overlooked. And when you use my strategies, we revisit those people and really help them out. Now, as far as finding profitable deals, again, I like to talk about my students more than me. Yeah, I've made money. I've done deals. Who cares? You're not me. Maybe you can be me someday. That's not the point. I want to reflect onto your listeners, Dan, that they can do this, not just me, not just you, not just the guy on TV. I was just like them at one point in time. And then I just strategically put all this together. And I learned over the years, you learn a lot in 30 years. And I hate that. 30 years. Yeah. And then I think about, oh my God, Star Wars came out how many years ago? Stop it. Stop.
Exactly.
But Mark and Susan, they took my training a while ago. And they're steadily investing in it now. They've just completely retired. And, their business was successful. And then they just blew it out of the water with their real estate investing that they learned from me. And one of the things, Susan said, she's the prime instigator in their real estate investments. She said, I took all these other trainings before and nobody put it together quite like you to make it to where I could actually go out and do it. Their first year, they made $275,000 in profits right after taking my class, my bus tour. So they spent 3 days with me and they turned that into 275.
That's
So
amazing.
it is. And she's a grandma. She's got like, I don't know, 500 grandkids or something. It's like, how come I don't have I got to talk to my daughter after this. I need to be a grandpa, but then that's okay. I'm not in a hurry either. But she's got like, I think like 20 grandkids. So she's playing grandma all the time. She's running the business. And she's a shark, man. She is literally a real estate shark. And she makes some really crazy deals now. She was buying hotels for a while,
Ooh.
Yeah, she made a lot of money, a lot. And she won't tell me how much, but I teach that too. I teach you how not to expose yourself as well. So it's something that's very capable. And she did it part-time, which was the cool part. So number 3, you've heard this before. I negotiate like a honey badger. Honey badger doesn't care. He takes what he wants. When the realtors say you can't do that, no, you can't do that. I can do whatever I want. I'm a honey badger. I can do, I'm vicious. I'm like a shark on land. If you were to create a mammal on land to mimic a shark, that would be the honey badger, because he just does what he wants, takes what he wants. And he fights lions, lions and buffalo and
He looks like somebody you
had
wouldn't
no
want to mess
fear.
with.
What's that?
He looks like somebody you wouldn't want to mess with.
He's a badger. He's the badger family. We have an American badger here. You never hardly see them because they're very reclusive, I think is the word. But the honey badger is just all in your face, just want to get it. And that's how I do my offers. I don't necessarily want to win every single offer. It's a game. And when you play a game like Monopoly, the game isn't to just own Park Place and Boardwalk. It's to own all the other ones, the little ones. I love Baltic Avenue, those little ones, because they're going to land on you every time. But when you put in offers, you're not always going to get an accepted offer. And a lot of people think is when you put an offer in, you're going to get an accepted deal. It doesn't work that way. So when you start playing the games that I've learned over the years, you can get your offers moved to the top of the pile. You get the seller talking to you, and you close more deals with lower price points. If just as an example, a lot of real estate investors and realtors, I guess, will not. They'll look at days on market and they'll see 375 days on the market. Remember those days
Oh yeah.
here in California? And what would happen is the subconscious brain will say, I'm not even going to write an offer on that. It's been on the market so long, they're not going to move, they're not going to sell. And the problem is you've got the homeowner in the house for 370, 475 days, 510 days. I mean, it was ridiculous. And that guy's sitting in his house saying, man, I need to get a new real estate agent because nobody's coming to look at my house. Nobody's putting any offers on it. So I learned that there's a desperation. Now, is it going to work on every single one? No. But when you use my strategy, you can find those deals and pick them up. There's a lot of psychological reasons, see, and playing on that psychological reason of the investor. Oh, I'm not going to put an offer on it. There's been 45 investors offered on it and it hasn't gone. They don't want to negotiate. Well, that was 300. That's, I don't know if anybody knows, but 365 days is a year.
Right.
A long time to be trying to sell your house, especially if you have to or you must. So, I found that, you throw these offers in strategically, some rise to the top. I call it fishing in Tennessee. See, when you fish in Tennessee, you row the boat out into the middle of the lake and you light up a stick of dynamite and you throw it in the lake. So that's kind of how I do my offers. And I had a student in Boston, and when I taught him, I think this was about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And it might have been 6, but don't quote me on that. But about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, Boston was a tough market. It was like almost impossible to get a good deal there. You had to go out away from, the city. And this guy was great. I mean, he fed me lobster every day. Hey, you want to go get some lobster? And I'm like, absolutely. It'd be wicked great. So I'm not from there, but 5 minutes, I'm speaking like I lived there forever. So he took my training. And at the end, he's like, Cliff, this was great. He was a buddy of Dave Seymour. Dave is the one that had me teach him. And he says, this is really great, but you just can't do that stuff here. And I said, stop. If the one thing I taught you over these 3 days is that you can do this anywhere, there's no prerequisite on somebody's mental state. And that mental state is the seller, the agents, the bank. Everybody has a mental state in this that plays a silent game. And I said, just go out there and do it. He called me, I think it was about, well, he actually Facebooked me. This is right off of Facebook. And he sent me this message. And he says, the first deal, I bought a foreclosure from the bank for $193,000, no repairs. And I wholesaled it for $285,000. Thank you for your help. I like this job. Now, he's all real calm. He made $92,000 profit. I'm jumping up and down. Like crazy. Oh my God, this is great. He's all calm. It was just $92,000, But he says, I talked to him on the phone. And he was like, well, I did what you told me to do. I put in a couple of offers and this one got accepted. And he says, the agent even told me they'll never accept this. Wow. So number 4, so, don't think just because we live in California, you can't put monstrous deals together here. You can, they're there. Especially right now, they're brewing, a lot of them. But remember, when there's blood in the streets, real estate investors make their biggest profit margins. Number 4 is analyzing the deal. I don't know how many people I talk to post-closing to where they are now an investor and they put all their money into a property and they have no idea how much their expenses are going to be, how much their costs are going to be, how much the repairs are going to be, or even how much profit they're going to make. If you don't know these things immediately when you go into a deal, can I say you're screwed on a recorded thing?
Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty dangerous place to be if you're not figuring this out.
Absolutely. And the thing is, knowing going in is so easy, but it can be very confusing. Now, again, that's the whole concept of this is very simple. It's just not easy. But I can show you exactly how easy it can be. I it's an old spreadsheet, and the reason I don't change it is because it absolutely works, and it works every single time. And even with all the fluctuations in the market, all the fluctuations in the industry and technology, this Excel spreadsheet, I'm on a Mac now, so it's numbers. This spreadsheet outperforms everybody's sheet that I've ever seen because all they do is make this complicated. This is real simple. You go and you do a little bit of research, and it can all be done online. I was doing online real estate 8, 9, 10 years ago, maybe even more. Remotely, I've been buying remotely since, 2002, I think. But that was more phone calls, pagers, and faxes. But today you can do all of this online, and there's specific websites that you go to that give you specific answers, and all you need to know is what the current market value is of that property, not after repair value, not pre-repair value, not as is. What is that house worth on today's market? Okay. And you plug that number in there. It's the yellow. I don't really have a pointer, I guess. Oh, no, I guess not. But it says enter current fair market value. You enter that number right there, and boom, it will fill in all the blanks on this, except for your rental information. If you're going to be a long-term rental, there's more items to put in to do your calculations. But as far as a flip or a wholesale, or wholesale, buy, fix, and sell, or a buy, fix, and sell to a renting landlord, somebody that wants to own a rental property, it's all immediately done. And when people go through my training, they get this for free. I mean, people are saying I should charge a lot of money for it, but I want you to be successful. I want you to do things to become successful. This tells you all the numbers, and I've never found it to be wrong. And that's a bold statement, but there was a lot of logical math that went into this, and math doesn't lie. It's not going to give you false hope of maybe we can sell it for this much, or maybe we can do this or do that. Maybe we can get more. No, there's no maybes in real estate. It doesn't work that way. You have to know what the numbers are, and this thing tells you exactly. So going in, that's probably one of the most important secrets I have. And then the last thing is how to get rid of your property, right? How to sell it. I've got multiple different ways. You and I were talking about it earlier. Craigslist. There's like there's 1,000 ways or more to find real estate. There's 1,000 ways or more to sell it. But there are some, of the methods that I use that are much more efficient. One of the things I learned in the mortgage business worked its way into the real estate business, and it kind of goes to car sales. I tried car sales. I lasted a week. I don't know how people can sell cars. It's ridiculous. Everybody you work with is it starts with an A word. And they're all trying to cutthroat, so that's not the game for me. I play cutthroat in real estate, but not on a car lot where it's 98 degrees and your shoes are melting to the asphalt. That just doesn't make sense. But getting other people to do the things for you, I learned through the mortgage business. And with the car salesman, the first thing they ask you is, how much do you want to pay a month? And then they can put you in any car that they want, not what you want, what they want. So I kind of utilize that same thinking, because in the mortgage business, everything's predicated on what can you afford for a mortgage payment. So when you break it down, the mortgage payment that they can afford, less their taxes and insurance, to keep them within their ratios of being able to qualify for a mortgage, tells you how much they can borrow. plus the amount of money that they have for a down payment tells you exactly the perfect house to find them financially. Now what you got to do is make that financial model fit the model of the idea of what they dream of their house to be. And if that's a secret. If you do that, you will never ever have to worry about making money in your life in the future, honestly, because if you can create the financial model that matches the dream in their head model, there is no sale. There is no sales strategy. There is no sales event. There's no negotiation period. It's like, hey, I found the house that you were telling me about. It might need a little few things here different, but for the most part, it fits that dream box that you want. And it's perfect for you as far as your payment. In fact, it's $50 a month less than you wanted to pay. The next thing they say is, can we get it? And it's you then have to be able to buy that house at a margin that makes it sensible for you to buy it, fix it, and then sell it to them and make it a profit. But if you have that knowledge of what to look for, you go, and like I told you in the beginning, the first one was your team. Go tell your team what you're looking for. As far as a house to buy, go tell your mortgage broker, the regular mortgage guy that does home lending, tell him what you're looking for. A buyer that meets these parameters. You see, it's not just using each trade for, quote, their trade, but realtors get deals turned down all the time. So what happens to that buyer? If you're not a highly trained real estate agent, the buyer goes away. So, I mean, there's tons of people out there that get disqualified on a purchase, and then everybody in the deal drops them like a hot potato and goes on to the next buyer. And those people sitting around, there's a lot of them. I'm telling you right now, you can make a complete career out of those people if you learn how to do that. So when you're selling your house, it's really cool when you have the buyer ready for it even before you make the purchase. That is selling strategies. Those are some of the advanced things that I teach as far as selling a property. It's your network. It says there, get buyers into the pipeline before you have their home. That's what I just explained. And get others to sell your property. Hey, you're a mortgage broker, Fred. Did you have anybody in this market range, price range, that couldn't qualify for a house that they were trying to buy that was over that might fit into this deal? A lot of times they might. And if they do, that person, again, going back to the psychological aspect, that person is down, depressed, they're sad because everybody walked away from them. They couldn't qualify for their dream house. Hey, my buddy Cliff over here, he's got a house similar to what you're looking for, and I think we can get him into it. Hey, no real estate agent. Oh, look at that. They're not bound to the real estate agent. The real estate agent walked away from them. Now I can do the deal and not have to pay a real estate agent fee. So there's a lot of ways that I do that are proven, that work, that are really amazing. In fact, speaking of realtors, this guy here, he's funny. This is Dean. He lives up in the Bay Area, and I taught him his class. I think it was in 2009, so it was quite some time ago. But I like to tell the story because, hey, if you're a real estate agent out there and you're telling me or thinking, I can't find deals, this is so funny, and I'll make it really fast. He's like, you can't find deals up here, but I'm going to take the class anyways, because he paid some guru like $60,000 to have me come sit in his living room and teach him. So it was him and his three buddies, and it was mainly him. He was the real estate agent, and then one of his buddies could do construction. So they had this premise in their head that they were going to buy, fix, and sell houses. So after my training, he says, Cliff, this is really great. And he says, I just got to find a market to go to. Even if we have to move to a different place, I'd like to do that. Well, during the 3 days, the house directly across the street from him had tweakers in it. And tweakers are people that do meth. And people that do meth usually don't pay their bills because they're too busy accumulating every known a broken appliance in the world and putting it in their backyard. They call them tweakers because they're literally taking things apart and putting them back together, but they never do the second part, you know. No offense to anybody out there that has drug problems. It's a fact. So they lived across the street, and we made comments about it several times. And he's like, oh yeah, he says the landlord can't get him out of there. This, that, and the other thing. And they've had it up for sale. Now he's a real estate agent and lives right across the street from this house, literally right across the street. And I says, well, let's put an offer on it. So we did. We put an offer on it. Now I couldn't do the deal because I was in a class for him. So he did the deal for himself, but it was literally like I was doing the deal for him. And I told him how to write it. I told him how to do the offer, and he put it in and he got it. And you know, he was sitting there. He was kind of mad because he's like, Cliff, here I am. I'm a real estate agent. I've spent all this money to learn how to buy an investment property, and I can't find anything anywhere. And I'm working, you know, I think it was near Marin County. So it was north of the Bay Area. He's working this whole area, putting offers in, not the way I showed him how, but before I got there. He says, I can't find a damn thing. And you show up and in 3 days, you find the house across the street from my house, and I get it. So he made $150,000 profit on that. And it's really cool because he did it, the rehab, exactly the same way I told him to do it. And he literally made $40,000 over asking price because of the way the rehab went. He put the things in there like I told him to do. And it's really, I should put pictures of that up there too, because it was really cool. And, you know, you don't want to get in a position where they're going to give you $40,000 more than asking price, because usually they can't, because they can't qualify. Maybe the appraisal comes in lower. These people didn't care because they were paying cash. Ooh, and they wanted the house.
That's good.
And when they found out that he was going to be their neighbor, they were excited about that, you know? So it's fun when you learn things that are right in the middle of your face, right in front of your face, and you just don't see them until you start looking at them in a different way. And you know, I say to people, I love this here because it makes a lot of sense. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well are your investing plans creating profits for you? You know, and on a regular webinar, I would say, okay, everybody put in a number, you know, of how you feel. You know, we're not doing that type of format today, but if you got a piece of paper in front of you, write down a number of what you think your investing plans, your strategies, the way that you're doing it, are they really creating profits for you on the scale that you want? So the first number you're going to write down is the scale that you are doing, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the number is. And then how would you feel if you could put more properties plus multiply your profits on every deal you do? Would that give you a higher number? Imagine hitting a 10. You know, and I was at 10 for a long time. And that means what you're doing is working every single time. Every time you go into a deal, you're following this schematic or this plan or blueprint of what exactly you should be doing. And it has adaptable moving parts. So it's not where you're sitting there and you can't do this or you can't do that, because it's built in there to work that way. So if you want a 10, if you want, hey, you might even want just an 8. If you want that and you want that today, you have to make a commitment. You've got to, it's a journey. It's an adventure. You know, I look back at my life and I would never trade anything about the business that I got into. I just wish I got into it earlier. And I wish I had somebody like me, back then telling me, oh, do this, do this, do this. I had one guy say, do buy and holds. It's the smartest thing you could ever do. 30 years later, I realized, 30 years ago, I thought he was the dumbest guy in the world. And I can't believe how smart he got in 30, just a short time, because holding rental properties is great. In fact, I'm just going to go back. Dean's house, I looked it up last night from the time that he bought it till now. And I do believe it was 2009 when he did the deal. It was either 2009 or 2011. And it's doubled in value since then. So holding property is part of the plan. You have to make that part of the things that you do.
Hey, Cliff,
Yes.
I'll tell you, holding properties, absolutely. We've got a rental property in Santa Barbara that we tried to sell 20 years ago for
Yeah.
300,000 and we could not sell it.
Yeah.
Today, we still have it. Our daughter's in there, and Zillow says it's 1.5 million and it gained 300,000 in the last 6 months.
Yeah, because the $50,000 to $100,000 house, those buyers are struggling. The 1.1 and up market, they're not. So the deals can be found in those lower price points for your flips and turns. You turn them and burn them. You can even hold them as rental properties. I've got a rental house that 9 years ago was worth the same that it's worth today, but it pays $1,200 a month income. And that's from the government. So I'm not getting any equity out of it and never will, but $1,200 a month times 9 years doesn't,
It adds up. All those add up.
Yeah. Now, if you buy a house in California, like you said, 9 years of equity growth in California, it's a different game. It's a game in real estate, but it's a different aspect. It's like sports, right? Well, you got baseball, soccer, hockey, football, ribbon tossing in the Olympics. What is that? They dance around with a ribbon. That's sports. I'm just kidding. You can't play baseball on a football field, right? So it's sports, it's real estate, but it's a different game. So you need to learn the different games, because the little game of the little properties where you're just getting that income. A lot of people think, oh, it's only going to make $900 a month cash flow. Well, if you have 10 of those, that's $10,000 a month ish, right? Let's just
That's right.
10 grand. $10,000 a month for most people is they don't have to go to work anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, those same properties that you're talking about put our daughter through nursing. She's a nurse practitioner, and
Yeah, so is my daughter.
Paid $60,000 worth of her education over the
Yes.
last 5 years. It works.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And those people in those houses busted their butt to put your daughter through school.
They did.
I love it. I mean, it's absolutely wonderful. My daughter's an NP as well, so that's pretty cool. Neonatal.
That's so good.
Good. And she said, "Well, Dad, they can't complain." And I said, "Yeah, they can't tell you where it hurts either." That's the part. So I know we're short on time, so I'm trying to hurry now. I created this hands-on training because I've seen people struggle. You've seen people struggle. We've all seen people struggle where they get into deals that just explode or implode, or even worse. And it's my way of giving back. Again, I get more satisfaction and joy watching one of my students or watching somebody that's taken my training go out and do a deal like I've done, because except for my buddy in Boston, most people are jumping up and down, excited. They just made $25,000. And last year, the whole year after taxes, they made $25,000. And then, they know looking forward that anytime that they want to make $25,000, all they have to do is insert themselves into this box that I've created, and boom, it'll happen, if you do the effort and you go through everything and you go through all the steps, you can do this. You just have to be focused, and you have to have a plan. You have to have the knowledge and the secrets that I've put into play over the last 30 years. And so I created my program, and I've been doing this for years now. I also did it for the big gurus. So with the big gurus, I was teaching the training. Sorry about that. I stuck my elbow in something. And I was never allowed to participate in the aftermath after the training. I was not allowed to talk to them because they wanted to sell them more stuff. I don't have anything else to sell. My game is getting the people to being successful. That's my big payment. So it's my lifetime personal coaching. I used to do 6 months. I used to do a year. Look, if I found that a lot of my high-end students become friends, and it's kind of like COVID friends. You talk to them a lot, but you never really see them because they're all over the United States, and that's okay, because with technology today, we're all really close. So I decided to make it lifetime because I like sharing in the joys of your deals. You know, I had a student call me up and says, "Hey, I just bought this property and I'm going to make $2 million profit on it in a 3-year period." That person was a barista at Starbucks when I met them.
Oh, big difference.
It is. Uh-oh, I'm getting default microphone. Did my voice or audio change?
I dropped a little bit, but I can still hear you.
Okay, good. Well, I can probably turn that up a little bit. Is that a little bit better?
Yeah.
Oh, giddy. So it must be the internet speed here, because my other computer made some noise at the same time.
Well,
So,
I can tell you,
uh,
we're here on DSL, so anything could happen on DSL.
oh, okay, all right. I'll kind of wrap this up here now. Um, just going over them. You know, you got to do the 5 secrets: creating the team, getting great deals, negotiating great deals, knowing the numbers, knowing the math, and then knowing how to sell them successfully is really where it's at. Um, Not a lot of people realize this, and it's kind of funny because I heard it in a marketing um, presentation on somebody selling something for marketing, and they said you're only one blank from your breakthrough. And I thought, you know, there's people listening today, and they're sitting there and they've been trying to put deals together, or they put 1 or 2 together and they didn't perform the way that they thought they were going to be, or they put together 3 or 4 deals and they went amazingly great, and now they're struggling to find more. Everybody, you got to understand that no matter what position you're in, if you do a deal and you follow the steps that I give you, and they're repeatable steps, that's the magic. That's the real secret. I should have made a slide. Hey, this is the real secret. That one deal is a breakthrough. Imagine if you could do that one breakthrough deal that gives you the future. It really does it. It will change how everything happens. So knowing that you can change it, knowing that you can use my tools of my experience, my strategies, my tactics, my techniques, my commando methods, you know, whatever you want to call it, my psychological manipulations. I'm not a hypnotist. I just know how people think, and I know what they're thinking. In fact, I know you're like sitting there right now saying, "What's the next step, Cliff? What's the next step?" Oh, look, see, I knew that was coming.
That's good.
Now, the how is really important, of how you can interact with me and my experience and whatnot. But I do have a confession. This is not for everybody. A lot of people want that whole get rich quick thing, and that's not what this is. Can you get rich quickly in this business? Yeah, you could do a deal. You could stumble across a deal using my methods, and just, the stars and the planets all line up just perfectly, and you land that mega deal that changes everybody in your family's life, not just yours. Um, but that's not, I don't like the lead on that. I mean, you could do a deal tomorrow and put 2,500 bucks in your pocket because you refer it to somebody else. Now, that's not a lot of money, but again, if it's not a lot of money and you just don't want that for doing the efforts that you did, just send it to me or Dan. We'll be more than happy to invest it for you. But, $2,500 can mean the change if you figure out that you can do that 3 or 4 times a month. If you can do that 3 or 4 times a month from now until forever, you're never really going to work anymore. This is not a job. Doing real estate is like playing Monopoly for a living. It really is. And you're the banker and the only player, and everybody that comes by gives you money. It's literally like that. But it's not for everyone. I found that I tried guessing, Dan, one of the, who was going to be successful in the group and who was not over the years of my training. And I've learned that I cannot predict who's going to get that spark, because you'll have the car salesman guy, he's rugged, tough, he can do anything and out negotiate anybody into anything. I've seen those guys fail where, again, I had a girl that was a barista at Starbucks, literally. And it was really cool because she got me a big bottle of that raspberry flavoring to put in my coffees at home. But I cut my arm over here. I don't know what the heck I did.
Uh-oh.
So, but we're close now. I'll bleed out to give you this great deal here. I really will. So, but if you're sitting there and you don't think this is for you, it might not be, but then again, it might be. This might be the thing that gives you that breakthrough. So, what my program is, and I split it up into 2 levels because some people want less and some people want more. I've always found that the people who want less, they're like, hey, I already do this, Cliff. I just want to pick up on your strategies. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I just want the piece of pie. I don't want to bake it. I just want you to give me the piece of pie. And then there's others that want me to explain everything to them, hold their hand and guide them through that. So I have a basic program and I have an elite program. And everybody in both programs, you'll see as we go down, get everything except for a few things, which would be for the elite program. So I've presented this training course at yours several times and have always sold one at your location there in Santa Barbara for the value of $49.97. And that's my complete online training course. Now, again, what I said earlier is my techniques and strategies don't change. They are the same 30 years ago that they are now, that they will be the same 30 years from now. There's just, logic and math never changes. Those things are absolute. Unless we start going to a 12-based system instead of a 10-based system, then, that's like we might as well start using the metric system.
Okay.
Nobody except engineers use metrics, right? And foreigners. So my online training, it goes through situations where I'll look at a video and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to update that. So I do update the videos from time to time, but for the most part, some of them never will be because they don't need to be. They're absolute. They're going to stay the same. And that's a $5,000 value. And I sell that quite a bit. Then I also have quick start coaching calls with me, not somebody in a boiler room trying to sell you more products, not somebody in a big room with a whole bunch of phones in it in Utah somewhere where they have a book in front of them, or they type your question into a search engine and it gives them answers that they're going to give you, that you pay thousands of dollars to. you're actually going to be talking to me. And we do a quick start program where every week we get on for an hour or 2 hours. I don't know. People kind of notice that I talk a lot. That's why I became a speaker and an educator, because, the more you say, the more people learn. But with the quick start, you have to make sure that you're doing the right things in the beginning to get that snowball rolling, downhill. Zoom, we do monthly video conference calls. That's one a month, and it's recapping whatever you're doing, whatever everybody is doing. It's a group call. The premise behind it is, bring up your situations that you're dealing with, and have expert advice on how to do it. I sometimes will allow other students to interact between each other because we do the whole Zoom thing here. But I try to keep everybody muted so that I can, field the calls, the questions and whatnot. And then I do some updated information as far as market changes, strategy changes, and the like. That's a $24.97. It's $2,500. $24.97 is $2,500. But marketing says it has to be $24.97. Rapid response email Q&A, with me, not again some other person that's going to not know the answers. You literally get my personal email address, and you can email me a question immediately. And I like to say the email is usually 12 to 24 hour reply time. I try to get it out as fast as I can, but with email servers and slow and all that stuff, it's rapid as far as getting an email response. And then I thought about that, and I have a program called Telegram. It's a messaging program. So you'll actually have to download that. It's not my program. It's free. And it's kind of like Facebook Messenger. It is private. And in fact, it can be secret. You can send secret messages that are so highly encrypted, only the two of us will be able to see them. And then because they're a quote secret, they disappear, and go away. So like, if you want to tell me how much you really paid for that house, but you don't want your wife to know, I'm just kidding. That's not really, but it's just very secure. Facebook isn't reading your text messages. And if Facebook isn't reading it, that means the whole world can't see it, I call it spy proof. But the cool thing is you can send files, pictures, text, voice, and you can make phone calls through it, just like Messenger, except it's private, that is probably one of the most ways that I, besides, doing phone calls, that's probably the fastest and most efficient way that I have today of doing the question and answering for people that are going through my programs. So they are other people out there that don't like the text, don't like that. They want to talk and interact that way. I can't do that. It takes up a lot of time. So if you're going to want to physically pick up the phone and talk with me about deals and stuff, what happens is there's a lot of pleasurable banter that goes back and forth that's not subject related. And that's okay. I like that. But time value of money, I would love you. I can react to your Telegram much faster than I can to your phone call. And it can sit there and I can read it and I can think and research and do other things and then answer you, 5-10 minutes down the road. Whereas on a phone call, it's going to take up a lot of focus and time. So I've put that into my elite program because there are some people that want that. And I have to account for that as far as it's a $10,000 a year value. If you try to get that from one of the gurus off of the TV or the TV shows, if you could even do that, I remember there was, and I won't name the names, there was two of them that if you wanted their cell phone number, it was $100,000. And I'll just stop right there because, it was not worth $100,000. I'll tell you that. So as far as uh, um, oh, I was looking at the wrong slide. It's that one.
There we
That's
go.
the seven. That's the
10,000.
7 days. So the business structure setup. Let me tell you about that. That's a 79.97 value. You've got to hold your property the right way. I am a student of Randy Hughes. I've taken his land trust and I've modified it to my own. I put modifications in there for myself for privacy. Um, there are there is absolutely not a property I would own in the world if it wasn't held in my trust. And the business structure that I do is a trust, and I use an LLC as a beneficiary. So what we do is when you join the elite program, you get a fully modified trust, and I will set up your LLC the correct way. I don't like to talk bad about other companies, but every single company that I've seen set up LLCs have made this one mistake, which completely exposes you on it. And when you get my elite program, I'll tell you what that is, because any good attorney that's going to sue you, all they have to do is open up your filings, and if they see this one mistake, you're done. I mean, you're done. They'll pierce the veil. They'll find out all your assets, and they're gone. You know. But if you do it right, that never happens, and it's just one line on all of that paperwork that you do. But we do it for you so that that doesn't happen. I have a business partner that is an attorney, and he did this for 30 years. So he knows exactly how to break the veil of those trusts if you don't do, I'm sorry, the LLCs, if you don't do it correctly. So that's what he did. So we set that up for you. That is no additional charge. The only additional charge you got to do is you have to pay the state where it's at, the filing fees. That's a little bit extra, I think it's like $300. And then you have to pay $30 a month to have a virtual office and a phone number and that kind of stuff. So those are things that aren't covered in that, but the structure is all there. Then the 7-day phone, I already talked about that. You guys already know that. If you want access, it's on the elite program. Personal deal consulting. If you're doing a deal, I will sift through the paperwork, the contract, all your paperwork, and give you my thumbs up or thumbs down as far as what you need to do to make it the most logical thing for you to do. I will do that on a limited case basis. I won't do more than 10 per client per year. But if you're doing more than that, hey, you can afford to pay me more, right? Right, Dan?
That's right. Absolutely.
Because that I usually charge like $2,000-$3,000 a piece. So I just put a roundabout number of $3,900 for a value. It's probably much more than that. If you were going to do 10 deals at $2,500, it's a $25,000 value. And if you think $2,500 is not a lot, how much do you pay the real estate attorney to look over your paperwork?
300
And they
an hour.
yeah, and they charge by the hour. And you know what? They always find problems to charge you another hour.
I'm sure.
I don't know. I think that's in their business model. I can't be sure. I didn't go to law school. I know a lot of lawyers though. So, the personal deal consulting, you might look at it as a cost, but it might be a benefit in regards to, hey, Cliff said, don't do this deal because of this, that, and this. And I walked away from the deal. I'd have lost $50,000 if I'd have done that deal. So the value you place on that, it's kind of like one of those priceless things. You can't really put a value on that, but it has huge value. And then I buy rental properties and I fix them up, and then I sell them to investors. And most of my clients are in the medical professions because they make stupid, ridiculous amounts of money. They work, 200 hours a week, and they don't spend on anything because they're always busy working and making money and working and making money. So I found that a large portion of these people that are in that zone, they want to put their money into real estate, into properties that are managed. And that's what I sell. I've got a house right now I'm selling for 62.5, and it's a 17.07% ROI net.
Mm, good.
You
Very
know,
good.
yeah. Would you live in it? Probably not. But there's people clamoring to live in it right now because it's in their neighborhood. It's down the street from their brother's house or their auntie's house or their sister's house, or my mom lives 2 houses down. That's my buyer. That's my tenant. But my buyers are here in California who want to, hold those properties and manage them. I run across those quite a bit. If you are in my elite program, when you buy a house from us, you get 5% off the purchase price. So if it was 62,500 times 5%, that'd be $3,121 or $25 off the price. Bam, just for being in my program. So the total value of each of the programs, this is, if you were to add everything up, the basic is worth $16,000. The elite is worth $38,000. And trust me, and Dan, you can probably vouch for me, I've sold these programs and serviced these programs at higher prices and less accessibility to me or to the gurus or whoever it was. And it was basically you were getting some online stuff and a few things here and a few things there. But for the most part, you were getting hosed, from the person that was selling it to you. I used to sell a big package for $17,000 up front. But a lot of people came to me, said, Cliff, I can't afford that all at one time. Or, will you give me a discount if if I buy it from you right now? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll give you a discount. And then they say, okay, well, I don't have that much. Can you take payments? And I always, it's kind of frustrating because I would get mad and because I'm like, man, what else can I do? I'm bending over backwards now because it costs a lot of money to do this stuff and present this stuff and package this stuff and acquire this knowledge. It took me 30 years to acquire it, to just go, bam, here's your answer. A lot of people don't see the value in that, but I know a lot of people can't afford it. So um, this is new for me, and I'm really super excited about it because of COVID. There's a lot of people out of work, and we were talking about it, before we got on this call, about how people are on unemployment, you know, and they don't have a job, and they're doing side work and cutting grass and whatever they can do to make money to feed the family. So for me to ask for $38,000, a lot of people don't have it, or that's all they have. So I want to put my money where my mouth is. I know that uh, people, if they do something and it works, they'll stick with it. If they don't succeed at it, they'll stick with it until they just get to a point where they just can't figure it out. Well, that's usually because there's nobody there like me to guide them to personally take interest in their aspect of their climb back on top from this whole mess. Because usually these things are done by gurus who are unattainable. In fact, I got a marketing guy who says, Cliff, you got to make yourself less visible, less available, because you need to increase your value. And I'm like, no, no, no. I just need real, honest people to do business with so that I can help them become successful, because they'll tell their friends and it's like that herbal essence and so on and so on and so on. And that's how I built my business for the last 18 years, is that. But I've never done this payment thing. So I'm really excited about this. It's really inexpensive to do this program. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer. And if you're doing real estate, you know that if you got the basic program, it's a monthly payment, 12 monthly payments. That's it. No payments beyond the 12 months. It's lifetime. So you pay for it for 12 months, $387 a month. It's not cheap, but it's not expensive in regards to the value you're going to get for it. And then the elite program, you step it up just a little bit. It's $1,000 more per month. But after the 12 months, you never pay me again. You never have to give me any more money for full access as you see on the screen right here. And I believe that not only does this build great investors, it helps people that are really desperately trying to make their lives better possible. This, and you might get into the program at 387 and 3 months from now say, Cliff, I've got a lot on my table here. I need some personal guidance. Let's just take what you've paid into the program. If you were in it for 3 months, 387 times 3, we'll apply that towards your purchase of the elite program. So we'll deduct that from the total amount. So 369. So you would have 11 months to pay instead of 12 months to pay. So I'll apply that on a going up level. But with the elite, you get full access to me. I mean, you want to ask me a question about the value of a house in Cincinnati, Ohio. You pick up the phone within business hours. I gotta state that. Some people call me at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to answer, but I will answer the next day. So there is a thing called voicemail, but I'll answer the phone. And if I have to stop what I'm doing, I will answer the phone. I will get online and we'll research, do whatever. We'll figure this out. You get access to that. I don't, like I said, just to get some of the gurus, like you can't get Tony Robbins' number. You'll never get his number. Now, I'm not saying I'm Tony Robbins, but in the real estate world, I'm up there as far as experience, knowledge, and having the ability to push you through the deal to get you to the profit side. So it's really easy. Payments are super simple. I will tell you that this is absolutely brand new for me for this program. So Dan, I gave you a link. It's not even a fancy name. It's the sales page. It goes right to the sales page. I didn't build a fancy sales page or anything. It's basically a page with 2 buttons on it. And if you want to do this, it's time to make a decision. You push one button or the other button. And Dan, you can put that link there for everybody to see wherever you're going to put it for this event. But I said it's going to take a decision. You got to make a decision of what you're going to do. You can do things the same way. Trial and error works really, really good. You can see it works really good as I portrayed there in that picture.
Hey, Cliff,
Yes.
can we go back to that previous slide? I just want to make a suggestion.
Yes.
I would somehow try to squeeze below where it says only 12 easy payments.
Yeah.
And what I would do is say, because it's lifetime, you really could look at this as $387 per year. Think about it 10 years down the road. That's all you've paid basically in a 10-year period.
Yeah. And I've got people that I've worked with for 10 years, but they paid a lot more money than this. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to do private mentorings for $25,000 and I'll fly to your house.
Yeah.
I'll still do that, but now I got to wear a mask. I don't really want to travel. And you probably don't want me sitting in your house today with all the things that are going crazy. But, for $387, it's
Yeah.
not per year. It's for 1 year.
Right. If you look at over a 10-year period, it's $387 per
Oh,
year.
yeah. I see what you're saying. It's $387 for 12 years for a
Right.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is lifetime. Lifetime is a whole
Yes.
lot different than you pay this year and then next year we sign up again. That's
Yes.
huge.
And I've come to the realization that if someone takes my program, I have no complaints. I've had 2 complaints in 18 years, and I'm not bragging or anything. I can't say the S word that I want to say, but my stuff works.
Right.
People are happy when they take my training because it's a ton of information, number one. And number two, it's reasonably priced. Even at the high price points that I'm showing here, it's $16,000 for a lifetime. That's true value. That's great value. Now, the 387 makes it easy. Now, let me tell you, Dan, I don't have it on the slide here, but if you want to buy the program and you have the resources or the availability or the ability to give me a one-time payment up front, we'll just take the full amount and we'll discount it for a cash payment. And I just want to make sure that anybody that does that, it'll be a considerable discount. And then you don't have to make any more payments. It's a one-time shot. I just want to make sure you have the ability, because I know a lot of people will overextend themselves to get the discount. I don't want to. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to help you. I don't want to put people in a position where they got $20,000 in their bank and they're going to give me $15,000 or whatever to make this work. I'll take payments. Let's do the payments. Let's get you down the road. If you want to pay it off in the future, it as a discount because you close a transaction or whatever. That's what I want to do. I want you guys to do things when you can, how you can. Or you can take, Cliff, mind your own damn business. I want to give you more money than you're asking, then shut up. Okay, I can do that too. But yeah, that's a great analogy, because if you just used my program for 10 years or 12 years, because it's 12 payments, that's $387 a year.
Which is really cheap.
Huge. And I mean, even if you go to the 1387, 10 years from now, you're going to call me up and say, Cliff, I'm doing this deal. They just tried to screw me on this thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I know that thing. Mm-hmm. And then we get you unscrewed, and you make an extra, well, if it's 10 years in the future, it's probably a $200,000 profit deal. So,
most things out there go on a yearly basis, and each year you just sign up and keep paying each year over and over. So lifetime is an amazing offer, Cliff.
Yeah. And it's fun. I have fun. I love doing this. This is my life. This is what I love. When people sit there and they say, hey, Cliff, how can you do this day in, day out? I'm like, oh my God, it's new and exciting every day. I find new idiots every day in the real estate business.
Make them geniuses.
No. I'm talking like in my transactions.
I see what you're saying, right?
When a title company says, "Oh, we can't do that," and I'm like, "How long have you been a title company?" 35 years. And I says, "You haven't done this?" And they're like, "No, our underwriter says they can't do that." And I says, "That's funny. I talked to your attorney, who is Bing Bang Bomb, and he's your attorney for the main company that you underwrite for." Or that underwrites for you, and they can do it, so you can do it too. Just call this guy. See, and that's how you get people to do things that they don't know how to do. People are in boxes, and that right there, one phone call to your title company, which I'll do because I love correcting people. It's not like I get off on it or anything. It's just that I like to correct people so that they expand their horizons. That's worth $38,000 if you're going to do a deal that they say you can't do, that you would make $38,000 on. So, just one deal to your breakthrough. That's where we're at. So, but I like this slide here. This is my favorite. You can do the trial and error. And I like that, you put blindfolds on, go out there, and then the guy in front of you is going to lead you down the path, because, he's got a blindfold on too. And that's the seminar industry I've seen over the years. There's a lot of blind people out there. And, I used to go to a lot of these events, and I'd be sitting there or standing in the back of the room watching because, I'm up to speak next or I just spoke or whatever. And I like to listen to other people. And then I hear him say something that I know is like 5 to 10 or 7 to 10 years in prison if you do it. and I'm in the back of the room going, oh my God, no, don't tell him to do that. So, I see that a lot. And, the trial and error system is not profitable. It is not efficient, and it is not a good way to do business, honestly. But you have to decision if you're going to keep doing it the same way that you're doing. It's similar to the trial and error, or you can come over here and let's do the trial and error. Is not trial and error on the fast side, is it? That's not trial and error. You're learning from my trial and error over 30 years of doing this. So that's like, working with a brain surgeon that's just got his degree, or working with a brain surgeon that has been doing it for 30 years? Which one do you want? You want his trial and error, the 30-year veteran, right?
Right.
So again, I just created this program when you called yesterday or Wednesday. So I have a web page up, but it is not. It's not like my web page. My personal web page is cliffg.me. But I've given you in the chat box there, Dan, a link to the actual web page. I don't know if I can. Let's see if I can pull that up.
And what I'm going to do, Cliff, is when we're done, I'll get back to you over the next couple of days and I'll get some of the main locations for people to get a
Perfect.
hold of you as far as websites and YouTube, because I know you've got a couple of different YouTube channels and you've got different Facebook channels. So we'll try to get the ones that you want people to focus in on when they're trying to get a
Sure.
hold of you.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. I'll get you all of that stuff this afternoon.
Okay, just text it back to me and I'll get it in the web page there on the Santa Barbara RIA for your page.
Perfect. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Because, this site here will be probably by this afternoon. Actually, I could say that now. This page here, can you still see that?
Yes.
That's the actual program page. That's my lifetime exclusive personal coaching. That's everything that you're getting for the value. And there is the first for the basic. You just click on that. It goes right to the acquisition page so that you can purchase the program and make your investment in yourself and get started right away for
Good.
the basic. And there it is for the elite. And it is 12 payments. So just remember, it's 12 payments. And then you get exactly what you see on here. And I'll have that at cliffg.me, CLIFF. Actually, I think I have the slide somewhere, but it's cliffg, CLIFFG.me. That's the web page.
Okay.
I'll have this as the landing page probably within an hour of us completing this.
Excellent.
So,
Okay.
but this is new. I've never done a payment system, a work as you go. I think it will. Here's what. Okay, I'll give you the psychology, and I'm probably giving this away, but it's actually a good thing. A lot of people will pay $15,000, work at something for 3-4 months, and just not click right for whatever reason. And I always blame the coach for that. If they can't click right, you didn't teach them well enough, or you didn't understand their learning difficulties, because everybody learns a different way. And most of the people out there that are teaching don't understand AVK or neuro-linguistic programming. I took all of that stuff to learn how to sell to people. But what it also does is it helps me educate people, because now, disc profiles, all these other profiles, things that you can do, you learn about yourself and how to interact with other people who have different learning abilities. And it helps me speak in a way that can make everybody understand. So I use different aspects of vocal, speech, visual aspects, and then the hands-on stuff. So I think the secret to this success of this program is going to be the complete interaction with people. Not only are you going to be talking with me, we're going to be doing the monthly video conferencing, the quick start program calls with me. And I say calls, they're all going to be Zooms. So you'll see slides, you'll see pictures and stuff like that. You get to look at my ugly mug. I keep looking in my camera and I keep seeing my dad reflected back at me. I'm like, what? How did that happen?
I can tell you a scary. I can tell you a real scary story of that.
Yeah.
I looked at a picture recently, and I thought, I don't remember my dad being there and doing that. And I looked at it for about 5 minutes, and finally I went, "Oh my God, that's not my dad. That's me." That was scary.
Yeah.
That was real scary.
Well, the one thing I'm happy is my dad has a full head of hair. I got the high peaks here, but my dad has a full head of hair.
You're
He's
blessed.
90.
90.
He has 3 girlfriends and they're all under 70.
Oh my God, he's very active.
Yeah. And I'm like, how do you do it? Well, never mind. I don't want the details. So I think the secret in this and the little mystery thing that's behind the scenes is by doing a monthly payment, you're committed every month, every month, every month to engage. And, I'll be sending you reminders. Hey, Thursday is our meeting. Hey, Wednesday, we're on the live phone call. And I didn't put it in here. I've got a special Facebook page. There's nobody in it. This is a new program. So there's nobody in it today, but by the end of the year, there'll probably be at least I did one. Actually, I should just open that group up to this. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. I've got a group right now with about 1,000 people in it. So we'll re-engage that. We'll invite them into this as well and get them going so that I think the interaction between people can be good too. I always caution, come to me first, let me see or hear what that other person is suggesting first, because there are predators out there.
Oh, yeah.
And in the seminar business, they're horrific. They go to the seminars, they'll sign up for the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 thing, and they'll make friends in the audience, and they'll get $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 out of people just, doing stupid things. And those students come to me later and they say, hey, this guy said that he was going to do this good deal with me, and he got me for $30,000, and now I can't get a hold of him on the phone anymore.
Scary. And it happens a lot.
It happens a lot, but it happens in life. It's life.
Yeah, it does.
Hence why I've created this program, so that you can talk to me. That's the big thing, is the interaction with me, actually me, not somebody in my team. If I tell you, hey, that's a bad deal, you're going to know it's a bad deal. Or if I tell you, hey, that's a good deal, you're going to know it's a good deal. I'm not going to let you get burned because I have a reputation, so.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's all we've really got. And those reputations go real quick now that we've got the internet, if you're not doing the right thing.
Amen. Yes. So, well, we did our hour in 2 hours, so I think we did pretty good.
Yay! Excellent. Thank you so much, Cliff. I really appreciate all the great information.
I appreciate you, Dan. I have spoken all across the United States at RIAs. Some are, well, I won't mention any names or anything, but there's affiliations of RIAs out there, and I try to stick with ones that are older, that are more settled, that have better reputations, and I can tell you there's many that I will never have anything to do with because of their management or their people that are involved in it. And there's others that I will go there, but I really don't like the way that they treat people, because they get this holier than thou type scenario going, and they know everything. And I have a son, and you can probably relate to this, that knows everything, and because our kids, they know everything. And so but for you and your group, I missed the wine and cheese, but that is, whenever I heard that you were going to do an event, and you asked me, I will cancel other people's events to come to your event.
Well, I really appreciate that. And we did have to stop the wine because even the speakers were starting to get a little carried away. We went, uh-oh.
Well, see, that's why you have the wine and cheese after.
Right.
Because most professional speakers are professional drinkers.
Oh no. That's dangerous.
What is that statement? Work hard, play hard. So,
that's right.
But my spirit animal is the Kraken, the Kraken rum.
Okay.
So, but everything is great with moderation. I know my father was an alcoholic when I was younger, so I saw that, and I never went down that road. Luckily.
Yeah, but, it's a tough road. It's a really tough road for everybody. And I just feel for people that are there and have to be with people who are there. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Well, here's the cool thing. No matter what happens, if you get involved with my program, you'll make money. So if you are having a drinking problem, now you'll be able to afford the Beverly Hills or Malibu rehab place instead of the court appointed one.
Here you go.
So no,
Oh,
we shouldn't joke about that, but I don't know how we got there.
well, will tell you one thing. My dad's 97, going to be 98. And at
Wow.
one point, I went to a assisted living place, and I told him, this is like going to the Marriott. And he looked at me with his arms crossed. I would never, ever go to any assisted living. And I used to think, "God, what's the big deal?" And then, I got tenants in his house and turned his house into the assisted living.
Right.
They're paying the rent. I'm hiring all the people that are needed to make it all work. And then the pandemic came out, and I went, he is so smart. All the people in rest homes are dying from COVID. So,
Yes.
it's the
Yes.
best thing to do for people, your family and
Yeah,
anybody.
6 beds. And I know what I'm talking about when I say 6 beds in California are just monstrous money makers.
Yeah.
Monstrous.
Yeah.
If you're in Encinitas, Santa Barbara, I don't know, what is your dad in Santa Barbara?
He's actually in Grand Terrace between Riverside, San Bernardino, has a
Oh,
house up in the hills there with a huge view of the valley. And he inspired
nice.
me to build my home in Santa Barbara. And he
Yeah.
stood here and looked at the view and he said, "You just had to one up me, didn't you?"
Yeah, you have a nice house. Well, that's interesting. I'm not that far. I live in North Rialto, right before you go through the Cajon Pass.
Close to him.
I wanted to be close to LA because I was doing a lot of gigs in LA, and then I moved here and COVID hits. And I'm like, oh God. But I love it. I actually we have Cracker Barrel right like 3 minutes from my house. So all the restaurants and stuff, they built this brand new plaza right before, like last year, 2 years ago. So they have like 16 restaurants right
Ooh,
there. I
ooh,
can walk to them.
that's nice.
And I'm in a country club area, so it's still nicer. But yeah, it's definitely 6 beds anywhere. Now, I wouldn't own a 6 bed here because the price points, but Palm Springs pays 7,500 a bed.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't necessarily have to get a lot of other people. If you just had everybody's kind of, they say, well, I got to downsize and get out of this house.
Yeah,
No, I say supersize, stay in the house, just get some tenants and learn the joy.
yeah,
Because once you've done it and you know how to pick the right people and
yeah,
get rid of the ones that aren't right as soon as you can, you end up
yep,
with some really special, good people to be living with, and they're paying you.
yes. And if you're at that higher price point, it's not it's not lower. It's people with money.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
really
uh,
is.
people with money, that are in that position that are paying $7,500 a month. Like you can go to Carlsbad and Encinitas, certain areas over there. They're paying $9,000 a month for full service.
Right,
But if you're old, like your
right.
dad, and you're living in your house, and you can put 5 people in there, that means you're staffed 24/7 for yourself.
Right.
You know,
And those people don't have to even help you. They could just be paying rent. But even if you only had two or three people, that makes a big difference with
yeah,
somebody that's retired that has a fixed income,
yeah,
that you can hire the necessary people to come in and do whatever's needed without them having to go into a rest
yeah.
home.
You have somebody. You can have an RN during the day to administer meds. And the swing shift, they're going to do all the bathing and everything.
Yeah.
The morning crew does the bathing. The swing shift does the bathing and puts you to bed,
Yeah.
feeds you. I mean, I'm like, I'm looking at this place and I'm thinking, why don't they have things for people like this in my age?
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you, now that we all have the ability to have cameras in homes, as long
Yeah.
as everybody knows where they are and they're in an appropriate place, you know
Yes.
everything that's going on all the time, so you can stay
Yeah.
on top of it and make sure that they get the best care.
Yeah, I'm hearing horror stories in other states, not here yet, but in other states, uh, that they won't let you in the nursing home to see your relative. You have to look at them through the glass.
Yeah.
And then this person, it was a news article, was saying that they noticed that her mother wasn't being well taken care of. So she wanted to pull her out of that place and put her somewhere else. And they wouldn't let her. And then she actually got arrested for trying to get her mother out of there for elder abuse,
Oh my
and
goodness.
she
That
died because
ah
she was being maltreated in the nursing home.
yeah.
So yeah, your idea is absolutely brilliant. So if you're thinking about taking my program, I've helped operate some of those facilities myself, because Dan, I don't own anything.
Trust me,
I,
they're all in trust.
yeah, trust me, I don't own anything. So I do know my way around assisted living. I can help you with that. So if you want to buy a house here in California, which would be, you're going to spend $1 million, $2 million or more on a house that's going to get you $9,000 per person. But I know the business model, so
Yeah.
I
So
can
it's
help you.
good. There's a lot of ways that you can be helping a lot of people out there.
Yes. Yeah, 30 years experience. It just spells it out.
Well, thank you, Cliff. I really appreciate your
Thank you,
time.
Dan.
Look forward to the day when we can meet again in
I
real life
know.
and not virtual. And we
I know.
will.
I,
We'll
I
get
go up to
there.
Santa Barbara every once in a while because I have a business partner that lives up there. And I go to Mesa, the restaurant, and it's called Mesa. And what is it? The Tee Off?
That too. And they're all right now takeout only. You cannot sit
Yeah.
even outside.
So you go to Take Off or the Tee Off for the ambiance.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a great restaurant. And then what was the other one? There's another restaurant, Harry's.
Aries. And then there's those on the coast right there, like the Cliff restaurant,
Yeah. I think I've eaten
up by
there.
Santa Barbara. You're
Well,
just
there's
sitting.
one up by the school that's an
You,
older seafood place.
yeah, UCSB right there is a what is it? The Cliff restaurant or something like that. But you're sitting right, 5 feet from the waves, and you look to the right,
Yes,
and there's UCSB and the pier and the whole thing. It's
they
just,
have amazing clam chowder.
yeah,
Amazing
Cliff
clam
House.
chowder.
That's it. It's a Cliff House, and it's great.
I don't know. I don't think it's a Cliff House. It's another one, Beachside or something like
Yeah,
that.
Beachside Cafe. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Beachside
it.
Cafe.
Beachside Cafe.
Yeah.
Excellent restaurant. As you can tell, I eat.
The good
I
things in
love it.
life.
Well, hey, Dan, I appreciate this. Thank you for having me on. Always, always, always there for you when you need me for any reason whatsoever. You're an awesome person in this business, to know as a business person as well as a friend. And I look forward to helping anybody that wants to advance their real estate. Go. I guess we'll just go to that cliffg.me, because as soon as I sign off here, I'll get my web guy to put that up there right away.
Okay, and then just text me any other sites, whether it be YouTube or anything that you want to try and drive people back to. I'll put it up on the
Sure.
Santa Barbara RIA page that we've set up for you, so people, when they
Excellent.
go
Excellent.
there, can just jump off that and head your direction.
Yeah, because with COVID, everything is changing. So I hired a web person in February, and they disappeared. So kind of out of sight, out of mind. I haven't been doing anything. I've been doing some other stuff, but I really want to get this going back up again. So I'll send you those links for the web pages for information, and I'm adding more stuff to YouTube. It's kind of old stuff on there, but it's still good stuff. But the new game, the new play is I'm remodeling. I'm doing a rehab on myself, like you would for a house, on all my digital outreaches out there.
And I'll send you a link to a guy in Ventura that is basically making about 6 million a year putting up
Yeah,
YouTube videos, and you might already know, but
yeah.
that
Send
will
that to
that
me.
and that will help you and I, the older crowd, see how the younger crowd are actually putting this
Amen.
together and making it work, which is really a
Yeah,
great lesson for everybody.
it is. It is. It is. It is. Awesome. Awesome. I'll look for that. Yeah, just
Okay,
send it in the chat if you can do it today. Oh, well, just send it in Facebook Messenger.
I'll do that.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
sir.
much. You have a
You
good
have a
one.
great day.
Okay, take
Bye
care.
bye.